Today is April 16th, 2021. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Jimmie Akers in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. You live in Call City. Sir, where were you born?
Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Well, that was good.
Started off right.
Born in Bartlesville.
Yep.
When's your birthday?
October 1st, 1947.
1947. Who is your father?
Jack Akers.
Jack Akers. And your mother?
Joyce. Maiden name was Bryant.
Bryant. Okay. Did you go through school in Bartlesville?
No. Went through school in Europe.
In Europe?
Yeah. I started here in Bartlesville, then Dad being in the service, we got transferred to Europe. We went to Salzburg, Austria, and then when the Korean War broke out, we went to Italy. And then in 1955, we left, let's see, I'm trying to remember. 1955 we left Vicenza, Italy, and by troop ship, converted over USS Johnson to New York. And then Dad was stationed at Fort Hood from 1960 to 1965, and right after the earthquake in Anchorage, Valdez, Alaska, we went to Fairbanks, Alaska, stationed at Fort Wainwright. And that's where I got my draft notice at.
Okay.
It was in Alaska.
How old were you when you left Bartlesville?
Let's see, we left here in 53, 4.
Okay. What school did you attend in Bartlesville?
Right there where the big auditorium's at there.
Garfield.
Is whatever, I can't remember the name
Garfield
of it
School, yep.
As a matter of fact, the door where the post office is at, as you're coming down 60 there, going through town, right there on the street, that side door is where our house was.
Oh, okay.
And then right on west of it was, my uncle had his grocery store. And anyway, remember all that as a kid, but now it's a post office.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You graduated high school what year?
1967.
67. From?
An-Khe, Vietnam, GED. So, that's where I got my GED at in my spare time.
What was it like being in Europe, you know, being a kid traveling around in Europe?
Oh, it was great. Weekends, we would, as soon as Dad get off work on Friday, we'd load up the old Buick and we'd go travel all over Germany and camp out in the forest and take in sights, castles and stuff like that. And then Dad eventually ended up running a rod and gun club over, so whenever we got or the military got new streams to fish, we had to go out, or Dad had to go out and stake it out. And we was over at Bad Kitzigan, and anyway, we got this one stream to do, and it was for like 5.5 kilometers long that we could fish. And it was right up along the Russian border. And so we was fishing it, and Dad and I both fly fishing, and anyway, there was a nice eddy pool down there where the little river took off to the right, and I was wanting to fish that real bad. I was working up to it, and Dad hollered at me. He says, "Jim, turn around and start fishing your way out." And I said, "Well, I want to fish this curve down here. Turn around and fish it out." So we did, and we fished maybe about 400 yards, and Dad laid his rod down and walked over to this clump of trees and bushes that all covered up. And he seen some wood sticking out, and what it was a sign saying, "You are now entering the Russian sector. All U.S. and military personnel keep out." So we had done fished about 400 yards in, and anyway, that was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we had a ball in Salzburg, Austria. I mean, I was a little kid then, and anyway, I was doing military school, and and then when we went to down to Vicenza, Italy, then was going on base to a military school, and then come up to Germany after we got back in the United States. Was here about 6 months, and we come back to Germany till 1960, and then went back to the United States. So
What was the attitude of the local people to you?
back in, they were grateful. I mean, all the Germans were great people. I mean, I never had seen a cross word or anything. They just grateful. But it was right after World War II when we was over there, and you stop and think 1955 and the war was over with. What, in 45?
Yes.
10 years later. Think about 10 years after you've been out of Vietnam. How's that feel?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, people were real great and nice, and they were rebuilding, and they were just helpful. If you didn't know German, they'd try to help you.
Yeah. Where were you when Kennedy was assassinated?
I was in Coppers Cove, Texas, walking out of ag class, and when they announced the word there, and anyway, they went ahead and dismissed school for the rest of the day. So that's 63.
November 22nd.
Yep.
1963.
So
What do you think when you heard Kennedy had been killed, had been shot?
what did I think
Yes.
at that time? Am I going out tonight? Do I have a date? Because there was no school tomorrow.
Yep.
So I really didn't give it much thought.
Okay.
So at that time, being a heathen redneck down there in Texas, you look, I guess, for yourself. What you're going to do, who you're going out with, what's the plans for the weekend. So
When did you get your draft notice?
I got my draft notice in February. I'm trying to remember the date. February the 7th, I think it was, of 1966.
When you got your draft notice, what'd you think?
Oh, here we go. So, but seeing how my dad was service, I went ahead and, reported in March the 3rd. They flew me out of Fairbanks down to Anchorage, sworn in, and down to Fort Ord, California that night. And then doing basic training the next day. And so it was a rush job. And they were going to send me to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I called Dad, and I said, "Hey, Dad, what can I do?" I said, "I'm lazy, I don't like to walk." And he said, "Well, the best thing for you to do is take an extra year, go RA, and take your choice." And I said, "Okay." So that's what I did, and I went aviation. And so anyway, they were going to send me to Jackson, Mississippi for ATC school after basic. And I called Dad. I said, "That's not what I wanted." I said, "I wanted rotary wing, fixed wing aircraft." And he said, "Well, submit a 1049 to get out of service for breach of contract." And I said, "Okay." And it lasted, that 1049 lasted about, I guess about 2 hours. And then they sent me to Fort Rucker, Alabama.
Before we get there, tell me about basic.
Basic? Oh, I took a little movie film of it. I've got it somewhere there at the house. But they challenged everybody against other companies, other battalions, other squads. I mean, it was a challenge between each other. And of course, being young, dumb, and stupid at that time, you wasn't about to be outdone. And so we did our thing.
What type of training did you have?
What type? I call it grunt training, infantry training. And that's basically what everybody was getting at 11B Bravo, you know. And I didn't like the idea of walking with them rucksacks and, you know, and that M14 that they issued us at that time.
Yeah.
So,
What
what was it, 11.7 pounds, wasn't it?
Yes. What's your most vivid memory of basic?
When I called the lieutenant sergeant because he made me mad.
What happened?
Front leaning rest position for 15 minutes in his office while he chewed me out. The name of Lieutenant Becerra. And the whole time during basic, when he hollered Akers, I had to run up there. I had 10 seconds in which to be there with a cigarette for him. And then at the end of basic, bless his heart, he bought me a carton of Cools and said thank you. So, but man, he sure was rough on me during basic.
Why was he rough on you?
Because I called him sergeant. He gonna make an example of me. Which I didn't mind it. I've seen it before, and I played their game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Basic lasted how long?
what was it? 12 weeks, 3 months, wasn't it? Back in. Let's see. Went in March. Yep, and come out the end of right there at the beginning of June. They give me 2 weeks to go home, and then that's when all the rigmarole went on my 11B and stuff, and transferring. And anyway, got my orders rescinded and sent to Fort Rucker.
Tell me about Fort Rucker.
About Fort Rucker. I know more about Dothan, Alabama than I do Fort Rucker. But no, Fort Rucker was interesting. We went to mechanic school, we went to flight school, we went to survival school, and I'd never seen so much stuff crammed into you in such a short period of time as when we was there. I mean, everything lasted just about 8 weeks. And anyway, when we got done at Fort Rucker, they give us 2 weeks leave to go home. And everyone out of our company, with the exception of 17 of us, went assigned to 17th Aviation Company on K. And everybody else was just repo depot. And
When you got orders for Vietnam, what was your reaction? Or did you know you were going to Vietnam?
I knew I was going to Vietnam. There was no getting around that one.
Okay.
I mean, very, very few people, you know, it took an act of God to go to Germany, or, you know, or somebody you knew, or, you know, one of the big boys got you into a safe place, Korea, whatever. And, but yeah, I knew I was going. There was no ifs, ands, or buts.
Now, were you trained to be a helicopter mechanic?
I was trained to be a helicopter mechanic, but I was trained to be a fixed wing mechanic on the R2000s.
What's the R2000?
18-cylinder engines, and crew chief.
Okay.
And so we went assigned 17th Aviation, which was a Caribou, the old CV-2B, and we went
How'd you travel to Vietnam?
Pan American Airways
You left from where?
out of San Francisco,
Okay.
and was it Travis Air Force Base, I believe.
And
it
when
was.
did you leave for Vietnam? You recall?
Yeah, I arrived in country September 15th.
66.
6.
And did you land in Nong Kay?
No, we landed at Ton Son Nhut, and we got in there late at night, and everyone that had orders for whatever assigned unit they were going to, they took us off and put us in a separate area. The rest of them went to Repo Depot tent. And anyway, at 5 that morning, we got in there, I guess around, seemed like to me it was around 5 or 6 in the evening, and they took us by bus out to the staging area, And I remember the wire mesh on the bus windows all the way around. And I thought, boy, this is a real friendly town, you know. And, so we got out there and they separated us. Next morning at 5 o'clock, they come got us, and no formation, no nothing. Put us in the chow line, fed us, took us to the flight line, and 17 of us went to 17th Aviation. And anyway, they assigned us ahead of light colonels and on down, you know. And we got up there, we got up to Donkey, I guess it was around, what time did we get in there? Seemed like to me it was about 2 in the afternoons when we got up there. And so and then from there on, they gave us our good old bunk. And next day we was back at work.
The 17th Aviation is that First Air Cav?
First Air Cav.
Okay.
And then the Air Force took over the Caribous January 1st, 1967. And that left me without a job. So I went to the 15th Trans Maintenance Company. And so I flew out on rotary wing up there in the maintenance company, and then the under the table TDY. Well, you got a little crew chief experience. You're gonna fill in over here. You're gonna fill in over there. So that's what we did. And old boy by the name of Vince Tedeschi. He was from New York, and that guy was something else. He did not like what happened to him. You know, he said, "I'll come over here to be on fixed wing, not these dadgum flapping wings." So, but yeah.
Were you on Hueys?
Yeah, UH-1s, and on the C models and the D models.
Okay.
Depending on where they wanted to shove you to. So I got tired of that, and then I left there, come back to the States on for my sister's wedding. I had to stay an extra 6 months to do it, but and then I transferred over to 4th Infantry there at Playcoo out at Caponari.
What type of quarters do you have it on K?
Tent
Tent.
with sandbags about halfway up the sides, and then a freighty hole to jump into the bunker. It looked like a bunch of rats whenever we had incoming, and trying to fight for that one hole. So,
Tell me about your rocket mortar attacks.
which one?
Your most vivid memory.
The one that that was over at Playcoo, and a buddy of mine. We was sitting out on the sandbags there, right outside the hooch where we was at, and anyway, going into the bunker, and we was drinking beer, and Larry was a guitarist. He loved his guitar, and he'd sit out there and just pick, and we'd drink beer, and anyway, we was sitting out there, and I seen the flash up on the side of the hill, but I don't know, just about a mile out. And anyway, I heard the whistle go overhead, and I go, "This is not nice." And I told Larry, I says, "Hey, incoming." About that time, it hit up on the flight line. I said, "Watch over on the side of the hill." There was a flash again. So we'd sit there, and as soon as I see that flash, I count 14, 15, and you hear that going overhead. And anyway, after about 8 rounds hit up on the flight line, which the flight line from where we was at was a good quarter mile from us. And anyway, sitting there, and I was counting 15, 16, 17. I said, "Larry, this ain't nice, get in the bunker." And we no sooner got off them sandbags and turned around, and it hit out on our baseball diamond, 140. And anyway, very little fragmentation, but a lot of concussion. And anyway, I got peppered in the neck and the back, and he got peppered in the butt and the legs. So he got two in one in the butt, and you got two in the legs, and I got one in the neck and two in the back. So, but yeah, that sticks out in my mind. Runt a good beer. That was a bad part about it.
How long were you with the first calf?
From 1966, when I signed first calf, so when I left January up until August. So almost a year.
Okay.
In 11 months and a few days.
Okay. So you left August of '67.
Went to Playco.
Okay.
Well, I come home for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then went to Playco.
What was the reaction of the local people around Ankh to the Americans?
You know, that's a real good question. You know, I've often thought about that, and you know, other than reminding me of a lot of scam artists outside the gate, like you got them at even here in the United States, any military base, want to rip off the GIs and make money. But you get out away from there, and they're just hard-working people.
Oh, yeah.
They could care less, you know. Just leave me alone. And, but you know, when we was running convoy from Playco to Quignon, and Larry and I, the one I told you just passed away, and you know, didn't have no problems. I mean, they were all great people. I mean, I didn't hear any hostilities. You know, I heard a lot of number 10 GI.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean there.
Yes.
You number 10 GI. So.
You work with the mountain yards up there in the Highlands?
No.
Okay.
No, it had nothing to do with them.
Okay.
The only thing I had to do in the Highlands is when we had a bird come in, a caribou, and it was wasn't visual flight rule VFR. Is, you know, it should have been on. I guess he should have been on instrument. And anyway, it slammed into Orangutan Mountain, as we called it. And anyway, that's where we had our big first calf patch up there on the side of the mountain. It was on the back side of that calf patch. And anyway, had 30, what was it, 30, had 32 troops on board. And it took out, when it went into the mountain, it clipped the wing, ripped it off, flipped over, and then dove into the mountain. And anyway, we went up the next day and retrieved the bodies. And there was 17 dead, including the pilot, co-pilot, and crew chief. And trying to think of his name. I didn't know the pilots by name that well, but I knew the crew chief real well. And dadgummit, called him Bucky. What was his name? Oh, I'll probably think of it here later. But he was wrapped up in the radio box. And we had to cut him and dig him out, and the pilots too. So, yeah, that was a bad scene. That stuck with me.
And what were they flying?
Caribou.
Caribou. Okay.
Yeah.
You get to Ankh City?
You know, we're outside the gate all the time. You know, anytime. Matter of fact, 19th birthday, I went downtown, so went to beautiful Ankh. You know, that's when they had the big controversy over the first calf running the cat house for the guys. You remember that? So anyway, I got wasted like normal, and anyway, long story short, I had rat and rice and some sour greens and a bottle of bomb de bomb for my 19th birthday.
What is bomb de bomb?
Beer.
Yeah.
So, you betcha, 33, I think is what it was. So,
Now, how'd you get your GED in Vietnam?
Part-time, went through special services to get it. And then, so when I got out, I could go on to a junior college and work at what I wanted.
Okay.
And so,
Now, did they have people there to help you get the GED in the
oh
military?
yeah. I usually on if I had if it was during the week or weekend or whatever, they were 7 days, there all the time.
Okay.
And anyway, whenever I had a day off, then I'd get my lessons and do it.
Okay. Now, why didn't you finish high school in the States?
Because I got a draft notice.
They drafted you out of high school?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if I'd gone back to school, I'd been a 4-year freshman. I had so much fun, I just kept doing it over and over and over again. So, let me tell you, I don't see how Dad survived and Mom survived as long as they did with me going to school. I mean, I was a heathen. I'd sooner, long story short, I'd sooner fight than eat,
Now, were you in the 17th Aviation the whole time you were in the Cav?
No. Went to the 15th. Went assigned to the 17th and then went to the 15th.
Yes.
And then,
15th Transportation.
Yeah, and then from there I went to the 704th Maintenance Battalion over at Pleiku, running convoy.
Now, convoy from Pleiku to Quin Yon. Tell me about that.
Well, I've only been there about, since August, let's say the 1st of September. And anyway, Tet was the end of January. And so I'd been running convoy with Larry. And so the morning of Tet.
Tet 60.
68.
68?
Yeah, 68. And anyway, we were at the gate. We was wanting to get out to the convoy point there, right outside Holloway there, and before you go off the mountain. And anyway, they opened up the gate, and we goosed it, and out the door we went. And we no sooner got over the hill, and they shut the gate. And there was about 8 or 9 trucks that got out. And so when we got into Pleiku, we drove through one of the ugliest, most rottenest firefights you ever seen in your life, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. And anyway, we get out to the convoy point, and Larry's got a window shot out and a mirror shot out. And I got 2 rounds in my door and 1 through the hood. I didn't even know I got hit. And
what were you driving?
Deuce and a half with a trailer. And Larry was driving a 5-ton with a flatbed. And I had on 2 transmissions and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 55-gallon drums of used hydraulic oil. And Larry had main rotor blades and hubs and all that stuff on his trailer. And so...
who in the firefight, who was fighting who?
I really didn't stop to ask. I don't think I had time to do that. So, but who was on each side? I know that side was mad at this side, and this side was mad at that side, and they were just shooting it up for all.
Was it Vietnamese on both sides, or?
No. There was GIs on
on
our right hand side as we was going in, but then just as soon as we get about about 100 yards down the road, GIs on the left, and but we never did see any straw hats. I mean, they were tearing up buildings and everything else, and. So we got out to the convoy point, and that crazy MP says, "Go back to base camp. Go back to your base camp." I looked at Larry, and Larry looked at me, and we just kind of shook our heads. Says, "I ain't going back that way. You crazy." So him and I made our own convoy. We went off the mountain by ourselves. And anyway, our fuel stop was at On K, and so we got down there at On K. And they let us in the gate and pulled in there to the fuel dump, and we're fueling, and this lieutenant says, "Hey, You guys can't leave. You're staying here." And I told Lieutenant, I said, "Lieutenant," I said, "I'm going to tell you right now, and with all due respect," I said, "we're Red Ball, and we're expected to have this stuff into Quinyon, there at Red Beach." And I said, "We have to go." And I said, "We're going to hightail it off this hill." Well, he reluctantly let us out the gate. And we took off. And we went off on Cape Pass. Which, on Cape Pass is a whole lot better than Playco Pass. And let me tell you.
Why?
Got a little bit more asphalt. Not as big chug hose. And of course, 101st was camped out up the side of Playco all the time. And anyway, we get into Quinyon, and we get to where we go over at the depot where we're supposed to drop all this stuff off. And believe it or not, everything was locked down. And Larry and I had a date in town where we normally stayed at. And long story short, we snuck out through the fence. They didn't see us. And we went to town. And then about 2 o'clock that morning, 1:32, something like that, and that's when all hell broke loose in there in Quinyon. And so that morning, when it got daylight, Mom and son kept saying, "No, stay here, you know." And, we wasn't about to. We had to get back. And we had just, maybe a mile to get back to where our trucks were. And anyway, we watched it all light up at night, and we seen what was going on, and we was on the balcony and watching a lot of the firefighting going on. And anyway, so we knew what we had to look forward to, and we wasn't too thrilled about it. Let me tell you. And so anyway, out the door we went. We snuck along and looking, and of course I had a M79 and a 16, and Larry had a 16 and a 45. Of course I had my 38, or my 357 I mean, and we decided we were going to make it back. Well, there in Quinyon, they got what they call the circle over there by the depot where we go to. And it's a great big old fountain. And it hadn't been, I don't know, hadn't been used in years, and everybody liked to use it for a toilet. So we had to go across this clearing to the fountain, over to the MP bunker over on the other side. And so anyway, just as we get there, and we get ready to make a hike across the open plains there, dadgum tank sitting up around the corner decided to cut loose one. And we didn't know it. And old Larry says, "Am I still alive?" I said, "I don't know. You look kind of peaked to me. How about myself?" Anyway, I said, "Let's go for the fountain." So we went for the fountain. He jumped in, and I told him not to. And he come out smelling like a rose, let me tell you. And he hops out. We run over to the MP bunker, and man, that lieutenant started chewing us out. "What are you doing off base?" Oh man. And I told him, I said, "Well, we just got caught with our shorts down, man. Nobody told us not to." And anyway, you got a whiff of Larry and told us to go on. You know, we snuck back through the gate where we come out, and they never even saw us. Anyway, we got it back on there, and old Larry, he got his clothes out, and he went to the shower and cleaned up. But they kept us down there for 3 days, and they wouldn't let us out. So, and all we had to do was sit around, drink beer, and watch the PX soldiers take care of us, and, as we called them.
Now, were you with the 4th Infantry at this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Running convoy.
Okay.
And then my last, last 45 days, they pulled me off of it and put me on picking up KPs. and then go to town, pick up shower water, and then come back, get the trash truck, empty out 17 cans, and I've always made the beer tent last. And I'd have that done by noon, and I'd sit there and drink beer for lunch. And then go out to the dump, and then, I forget the kid's name. He was always out there on guard duty in the shack. And of course the mountain yards, they come up there and they empty out your truck for you.
Mm-hmm.
We'd sit out there and drink beer. And then I'd come back in about 3 o'clock, wash the truck out, and then go pick up the KP truck, take KPs to town, come back. And,
And were they civilian KPs or military?
no,
Okay.
they were regular Vietnamese KPs. Stuff that they did around, we called it the KP truck, but you know, Uncle Ho, he burnt the crap cans, and then we had laundry girls, stuff like that, you know.
What was their attitude?
Really, none of them had a bad attitude. You just didn't call them VC or anything like that. You did that kind of, but whether they were or not, you know, you never knew.
How'd you tell the good guys from the bad guys?
You didn't. That's a good question. I don't think anybody ever figured that one out. You know, by day they're just population. By night they work another job. You know. Mm-hmm. But did I ever give it any thought? No. I didn't want to dwell on it. I didn't want to think about it. I mean, they were people just like I was. Mm-hmm. But you didn't turn your back on them. You know, yeah, that's one thing you learn real quick. But overall, I mean, the company wasn't too proud of me. Let's see, I think I had, I don't know, about 20 days left before I went home. Mm-hmm. And anyway, went to town and picked up shower water. We just got this 5,000 gallon tank. And we had it on, they worked all night, all the next day, getting that sucker ready to go. So, anyway, it's done. There you go, Jim. Go get the shower water. And what you had to do, when you get back, you pump it up into the holding tanks, you know, make sure the heater's lit for hot water and everything. So I went to town, got shower water, and I'm coming back. And of course, I had my shotgun rider with me. And anyway, this old boy trying to catch a ride back, picked him up. So there was 3 of us in the cab. And so I'm hooking along there about 45 and going into Campanari. They had asphalted. Nice road. And anyway, I seen this APC up on the tank trail pulling this deuce and a half trailer. And anyway, there the dirt gets like fine powder. And the wind was blowing, it was coming across the road. And I'm on this hill over here, and I see this other deuce and a half on the hill over there. The APC's down in the valley there, come across, and the wind's blowing the dust across the road. And I thought, well, interesting. I ain't going to slow down. I'll just drop off the edge of the asphalt. Then that way I know where I'm at, going through the dust, and it'll be but a couple seconds. So I dropped off the asphalt, and I went into that dust cloud, and the next thing I know, all I see is headlights. That deuce and a half coming off the other hill got screwed up and come over my lane and hit me head on. And here was this brand new tank with all the water, and I mean, it hit the ditch and went everywhere. I rolled the deuce and a half 2 times. And I remember hanging upside down, going down the road, and I seen the canvas off the truck disappear. And the old boy that we picked up seemed like he was on his hands and knees scooting with us, and the back of the truck was catching up with us. And then the truck picked up and flipped over. It left him when it ejected me right out through the driver's window that was still up, and I went head first, and the truck come to a stop, but I was sitting out on the asphalt. And anyway, the truck that hit me had steak, eggs, potatoes, salad, biscuits, rolls, gravy. It had everything in it, and there were 7 guys on that truck. 3 in the cab, 4 in the back. And it was going to the field to the grunts. So, needless to say, they didn't get their meal. But the funny part about it was, I'm sitting out there, I'm in a world of daze. And the mountain yards flocked to us and started picking up the food. They could care less about us. So, but anyway.
Anybody hurt?
It didn't kill nobody, but it sure beat us up.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture of my deuce and half with what's left of the tank on the back. And anyway, the steering axle is up in the cab.
Where did this happen?
Do what?
Where did this happen on?
Going into Campanari.
Campanari.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Where is Campanari?
it was 20 miles south of Camp Holloway,
Which is
due south of Holloway.
is in the Highlands or north south?
Yeah, it's up in the Highlands.
Highlands.
It's over by, matter of fact, Holloway, well, no, I can't say. Well, Ashaw Valley is about, I don't know, about 15 miles, if you know where Ashaw was.
I was in Asia.
So, oh, you was?
Yeah.
Oh. So, it's not very far.
Yeah.
There's a lot of birds sit down there. We sat down there a few times at Holloway or Inari when I was over with the calf. And anyway, so and then plus even when I was with 17th, you know, we stopped, drop off parts, go on to the next one, or to pick up troops, go on to the next one, or whatever they needed. And of course there was 9 birds there at Ankh, I think. That was flying out there. But Captain Herring and Mr. Berry and pilots, they gave me a little stick time, so which I was glad of that. I enjoyed it, you know.
You spend your whole time in the Highlands?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the monsoons?
Wet. And cold. No. Oh yeah, they come in into the summer or into fall, and I mean, when you say monsoon, it drops a lot of water. You make sure your rubber duck is floated up, you know, so you may be swimming. I've even got pictures there for Ankh that I took when it flooded Ankh. The old river come through base camp there. I mean, it flooded just about everything. Flight line was still operational, but a lot of tents got washed up. And, so it was a dandy.
What's your best memory of Vietnam?
Getting on that bird coming home. That's the best memory I can tell you. So I seen all I wanted to see, and I didn't want to see no more.
What's your worst memory of Vietnam?
When had to go up on Monkey Mountain and retrieve bodies. So it was not a very pleasant sight. You know, you get somebody that slams into the side of a hill. You know, the Caribou empty weight, 28 knots, 40-degree flap. You know, stalling speed there. You know, just like you're sitting still. But when you're loaded with troops and everything else, you're looking at about 45, 50 knots. You know, 30-degree flap. And all of a sudden you lose a wing. Yeah. The rest is history.
Yep.
So,
Why were we in Vietnam?
do what?
Why were we in Vietnam?
Why were we in Vietnam? To me, is nothing more than a politicized political war. Every dadgum House of Representative, every senator, anybody that had anything to do with the government was into munitions, into the rubber industry, into the food industry. They were making money hand over fist. Did they want to settle it? No.
War is good business.
Do what?
War is good business.
Oh yeah, you betcha. And we're just the poor peons helping them make their money. And to this day, I think it was a joke. I think it was, like I said, an enterprise for them to make money. But yet, I was called to do a job, and I did my job. And I'm proud of what I did, and I got no guilt, no remorses about it. But do I think on it? I ain't got time to worry about it. That's history. I'm looking forward to what I'm going to be doing here come June. And, you know, I'm going to go wherever the front of that motorhome's pointing, you know.
How long were you in Vietnam?
From 1966, and I come out in 1968, May. And then, let's see, I got out in March, that's 3 months, and then 6 months would be June. Yeah, that'd be about right, because I spent 9 months in Germany. They sent me to Germany.
What'd you do in Germany?
I went assigned to the 171st Aviation Company as a mechanic for Post Commander's Bird.
Where?
Hanau, Fliegerhorst Kaserne. And anyway, Major Good, who happened to be the CO there, was my CO in Vietnam. And I showed up with dress greens and jungle boots, and I hadn't had my so-called TA-50 issued to me. And he chewed me out Monday morning in formation that wouldn't, oh man. And so anyway, I knew, hey, this isn't going to work. So, resource, what do? You fall back. Hello, Dad. Got a problem here. And Dad was stationed in the Pentagon. He was in the Army. See, my dad and I were in the Army at the same time. And so, you know, I wrote a letter to him and addressed it to the Pentagon. And the mail clerk seen it, told the company clerk told first sergeant told the XO told the old man. So here it comes back down the chain, you know, to the mail clerk, find out what he's writing the Pentagon for. Oh, I'm just writing my dad. Up the chain it goes again, down it comes. What's your dad do in the Pentagon? Well, Dad was in DIA. And to be
DIA.
Defense Intelligence.
Okay.
And anyway, I thought I'd be a smart ass. I said, oh, he works in Personnel Reassignment Division. And which I told Dad, I said, see what you can do about getting me out of here. I mean, this is my old CO. And he promoted me to E5, and 3 hours later he took my stripes away and rescinded the order. So, but anyway, long story short, it gets back up to the old man. He's in personnel reassignment. Down it comes again. And so how long's your dad been there? I said, been there a while. By the time it got back to the old man, for some mysterious reason, he had orders to go back to Vietnam. And he'd only been out just a little over 9 months. And so it got around that, hey, I got connections in the Pentagon, I can get people transferred. Well, the XO was going to take over the old man's job, Major Good. And so anyway, he come and asked me, he says, hey Jim, how'd you like to go TDY to the unit police, and we'll give you your extra stripe and you don't have to go before the board? I said, when do I leave? So anyway, they sent me TDY to the unit police for my last 9 months there at Hanau. And anyway, I got to meet old Sammy Davis Jr. I had to escort him to the gymnasium for the Christmas show. And anyway, made me, I was NCOIC of my own platoon, and had my own room, which is the old jail cell, there when you go into Fleerhorse, in the base there. And so one Sunday morning, we was getting ready to raise the flag, and bright and early, called callers and all that, you know. And so anyway, I said, "Here, put this record on." And I said, "Play the first one." So when it come time for call to callers, played the Beatles' "Hard Day's Night." Raised the flag. I figure if I come in a slick sleeve, I'll go out a slick sleeve. You know, they never said a word to me. Not one word. So, but now they probably come back and haunt me.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
When you left Vietnam, you flew back to where?
Back to Travis.
Travis.
Yeah.
Were there any demonstrations around that area?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I come back to the United States, for my sister's wedding, we got escorted back to the airport by San Francisco Police Department. And anyway, we had a bunch of time to kill.
When did you come back for your sister's wedding?
In August.
August of '67. Okay.
And anyway, the rascals, I won't mention any names, but they may still have a hard time adjusting to it. But there was 5 of us, and we went downtown, hitting the bars, and you know, we caught one of them taxis into town, and we had about a 12-hour layover. And then we was gonna go back to the airport and wait. And we seen all them hippies, you know, down in San Francisco, down by Market and all them. And so I forget who mentioned it. It may have been Lyle or Buck or somebody. Said, "We need to give them a haircut." And anyway, so we bar hop and stuff and pawn shop, and well, let's go and get some scissors. So we went into the pawn shop and asked if they had any scissors, and sure enough, they had 2. And they had a pink and shear, if you know what that is. So I bought me a pink and shear. And we went looking for hippies. And believe it or not, we get 4 of them haircuts before the cops got us. And us being in uniform, they escorted us back out to the airport and says, "Don't come back to town." Period. But they thought it was kind of funny. You know. But boy, them pink and shears leave a funny hairdo, let me tell you. So, but other than that, I mean, hey, I look at it on the bright side, the funny side, the good side that we had.
Oh yeah.
I try not to think about the bad side.
Yeah. When are you discharged?
I got out at Fort Dix, New Jersey on March the 3rd, 1969.
What'd you do after you got your discharge?
Raised hell. Believe me, raised hell. Flew back to Fairbanks, Alaska. You know, Hubert Humphrey was coming in, and all them protesters were down there, and I just licked my chops and went wading in amongst them. So, oh yeah. And,
Why were they protesting?
Humphrey, because he was for the GIs in Vietnam. You know, he wasn't mean-mouthing them or saying, you know, pull out of Vietnam or whatever. And
So what happened when you went into the protesters?
well, let's put it like this. As far as busting knuckles or anything like that, no. The cops have seen to that. But I got spit on. I got told that, you know, being a baby killer, but the hell, they didn't know what the hell what I did over there. You know, they just profiled me.
Yes.
And I just licked my chops and said, "You're right, and you're going to be next," you know. And I wouldn't, you know, it didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're going to be rude, Just like today, all these here protesters that's looting and burning, if they want to act like third world countries, shoot the bastards. I mean, take target practice. These cops here, split action decision on that 13-year-old kid, they are to take the mother and charge her with murder.
Yes.
Why is she letting a 13-year-old kid out at 2:30 in the morning with a 21-year-old guy or whatever, and with a gun?
Mm-hmm.
They need to charge the parent, not the officer. And I can see, yeah, there's bad officers, and And I worked with the K County Sheriff's Office for a while, and a lot of them you don't know where they've been, what they've been doing, what they've just come from. I mean, but yet a split-second decision. Think about it.
When did you move to Call City?
Let's see. 2005.
Okay.
Sister wanted to go back to Idaho, so I bought their place out there and moved out of my house in town and moved out here and used my house in town as a storage for my truck parts and stuff. Then I finally gave that to my granddaughter. So got rid of that house, got rid of the house back behind me, and moved up, to Mom and Dad's place. Mm-hmm. After Mom passed away in 2012, Dad passed away in 2017. And 17 days shy of his 93rd birthday.
Mm-hmm. Would you join the Army again?
Would I? Sure.
I'd like to do a word association. Now I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction. First one is basic training.
Tough.
Fort Rucker.
Great.
Germany.
Fabulous.
Italy.
Beautiful.
Vietnam.
Ugly.
Ho Chi Minh.
There's no name to describe him. Tactician. It's the only thing I can think of. Tactician.
Lyndon Johnson.
Joke.
Richard Nixon.
Joke.
How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? One that was patriotic and did his job. That's it. I could, people take me for what I am.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else I want to talk about?
Yep.
No, it's pretty well covered. Other than, a lot of stuff that was done in Vietnam, if, you think back on it, of the good times, not the sad times, mm-hmm. and then you'll remember something else as time marches on. Mm-hmm. But I try to forget a lot of the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. But I do focus on the good stuff. Yes. In that way, as far as that PTSD, yeah. I'm afraid I don't care if you was a baker or what. If you ever had incoming rounds drop in around you, yeah, you're going to have PTSD. That is not a very cheerful thought. And seeing what the damage that they do. Yep. So I respect them all. Yep. From company clerks all the way to the grunts in the field.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
And I want to thank you for your service, kind sir.
And again, this is April 16th, 2021. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Jimmie Akers in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you.